Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Yes, we do. Happy Friday indeed. We've got David Sirota in the show. He's going to talk about his latest reporting on how Dems are already shifting to an austerity mindset. That's going to be awesome. We also have Jeff Stein on their minute-by-minute updates on stimulus negotiations. Jeff at the Washington Post, of course, our go-to guy on all of that. And that is, in fact, where we want to start this morning.
Yeah, that's right. So there are stimulus negotiations that continue to happen on Capitol Hill. Mitch McConnell says yesterday they were on the 1 yard line, so I don't know what the hell that means. They will be here over the weekend, much to the chagrin of all of them who want to go home. But there's already some sparks flying around. Bernie Sanders, obviously, has criticized the negotiators of this bipartisan deal for not including stimulus checks and for more aid to working people. It got a little bit under the skin of Mark Warner, neoliberal Democrat of Virginia. Let's take a listen to what he said when he was confronted with that.
There has been some disagreement, as you know, inside your own party with some of the more progressive members saying that Democrats gave up too much in negotiations. I want to play you a little bit of that. And I'd like you to respond as somebody who was involved in putting this together. Watch.
So if you're asking me, do I think that this bill was well negotiated? I don't. There should have been a lot more money in it than there currently is.
It's really quite shameful that we find ourselves negotiating a deal with such a small amount of money.
You were very involved, of course, Senator, in the negotiations. How do you respond to that?
I say these are folks who've never negotiated any deal that I think has ever been successful. I mean, we're dealing with a Senate that is still, unfortunately, controlled by the Republicans. We still have Donald Trump as president, controlling 2/3, in a sense, of the federal government, the executive and the Senate. And the alternative would have been to have people get kicked off of unemployment, get kicked out of their apartments, not get the kind of food assistance that's needed. The Republican deal was sitting at $500 billion. And frankly, there had not even been any conversations between leadership.
Yeah, okay. Caller me a little bit skeptical. He's like, has never negotiated a deal to any success. The only reason the damn stimulus checks are even in the thing is because of the deal that they forced through on top of what their compromise solution actually was. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, that clip makes my blood boil in so many ways. First of all, if there's one thing that these people are absolutely amazing at, it's making excuses for why they can't possibly do more. And let's not ever forget that the whole reason this deal collapsed to such a small amount is because they were unwilling to do anything before the election. And look, that is Bernie was not out there pushing for that either. So he is culpable there. But in this moment, he is 100% correct. You and I were both kind of skeptical that there would be any movement on this whatsoever. But, kudos to him and to Hawley for sticking in this fight. And so the real irony here is that after Warner says all this, we still got Donald Trump in the White House, so what are you going to do? Oh, guess what? Actually, Donald Trump, who has repeatedly said, at least, that he supports stimulus checks, apparently he was pushing to get $2,000 per person and gets talked out of it by his aides, which is like the most Donald Trump thing ever, by the way.
Literally the most Trump
thing. To have like some semblance of a good idea and then immediately get talked out of it by the morons that he's hired and for some reason continues to listen to and has throughout his presidency. But, the idea that it was like completely insurmountable, that there was nothing else we could do, we know now that Mitch McConnell sees getting a deal done as vital to him keeping control of the Senate.
Yes, exactly.
So you actually do have some leverage here if you so choose to use it. There was another moment, I think later in the day, maybe after this story broke about how Trump actually initially had wanted $2,000 stimulus checks. Warner went on then Fox Business with Neil Cavuto, and he was like, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump support it, so it must be a bad idea.
What?
Like,
no!
Imagine having that childish of a mind that you're like, someone I don't like supports it, so it must be a terrible idea. It's all just excuse making because at heart, he is a corporatist. He is a deficit hawk. He believes in this austerity mindset. And so that is the real opposition to all of this. It's not that he couldn't have negotiated for more. It's not that there weren't leverage points, as has been demonstrated this week. He He didn't want to do more.
I did not know about what he said, the Bernie and Trump thing. That is the definition of owning yourself in order to try and own Trump. And first of all, also, who are these aides that talked him out of it? Because line them up, folks. I mean, who the hell are these people? Exactly the ones who torched his presidency and are the ones who are now torching everybody's. They were pleading with him, according to Stein's reporting. We'll talk with him more about this. Like, please, you're going to blow up the deal. You're going to blow up. Yeah, fine, blow it up. Blow it up for more money for people.
Right.
Okay, good. Put every Republican on the spot. You really want to win Georgia? This is how you do it. But these people will never, ever learn. They always try and find some idiocracy, middle ground, $600 checks and all of that.
Which is only, we should always say, a middle ground here.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, this is not a middle ground. This
world.
is like a ridiculously radical solution to only give people $600 over the past 6 months, $100 a month.
Yeah.
That's what you're offering. That's what we're supposed to be like so grateful for. Wow, amazing. Thank you. You guys are our heroes and saviors.
The free market capitalist nation of Britain is like lol, literally sitting there and laughing at all of us. And meanwhile, this is another thing they should be laughing at us about. This is what Republicans are pushing for on Capitol Hill. So some lawmakers want to exclude people who are receiving $100 a week in state unemployment benefits from qualifying for federal supplemental aid. I mean, this is so insane. It's like, God forbid that somebody make an extra $100 a week who is on unemployment. That's actually less than the original $600 amount. But I'm beginning to put my mind around where this all is. And I've talked to a lot of these people. I said, what the hell are these people thinking?
Yeah.
This is what it is. They don't want to fund what they call blue state lockdowns. That's what, at its core, they believe that by paying people more to stay on unemployment, they are suppressing the labor market and they are keeping and funding the ability of Democratic governors in order to keep their cities and states locked down. But obviously, that's not what's happening because these states, governors, blue cities, etc., are shutting down despite the fact that they're bankrupt. And because in many cases, by the way, I don't support these restrictions. A lot of them are not scientific driven, or they're much more like culture wars and all that. But it's not economics which is driving this force. So they've like owned themselves into trying to screw over poor people who are suffering basically from both ends of the spectrum through the idea that they're funding the ability for Democrats to keep locking down their cities. You could have, and this actually happened, California locked down with zero supplemental unemployment insurance. So your entire theory is already wrong. Like, stop. You're just punishing poor people for no reason.
And by the way, you don't think there are people suffering in red states? Give me a break.
Well, they don't care about that.
Go talk to your constituents.
Yeah,
they never will. They'll certainly never listen to them. They may sort of like humor them and nod their heads, but
they'll just blame the Democrats.
You don't think there are people suffering in your states? Give me a break. I mean, it's also, every aspect of this has been complete failure from the beginning. From the first CARES Act, which had some good stuff, but only for a short time, gave corporations all of the socialism and all the guarantee that they possibly could need to get through this perfectly fine. Then you have the failure before the election to get something done then, which could have been larger, could have been more effective, could have come sooner before people were $5,000 and $6,000 and $10,000 behind on their rent. Now we come to this, and these people make so many excuses for why they cannot just give people the money and the support that they need and that is wildly popular in the country. One of the people who's been a good actor on this, Josh Hawley, we've highlighted a lot here, he says that he will go to the Senate floor today to ask for an up or down vote on his bill to provide a direct payment of $1,200 to working Americans, $2,400 for couples, $500 for kids. This is the COVID relief working families need. This is not a controversial position. And actually, if it did come to a vote on the floor of the Senate, it would likely pass. It would be
but they'll never let it come to a vote.
And that's exact, because every Democrat would probably go along with it. You would have Hawley, and I think you would get a couple other Republicans potentially to go along with it. That's enough.
Marco would vote for it.
That's enough to pass, but that's exactly why they'll never bring it to the floor.
No, they're going to screw it up with some unanimous consent objection. This is what they always do. They don't want to take the real votes because they know it's popular, and then they'll get clobbered for it. So they just con themselves into passing $600 extra. And, Bernie and Hawley, I want to give them credit, too. Like, they even scored a victory, and they were like, nope, we're fighting for $1,200. They're like, we're going to put all of you on the spot, and they are hated excited for it. They hate them so much.
Look at Mark Warner. Look at the scorn of Bernie. And if you think that's just Warner, no. That's like every member
for all of them. Exactly.
of the Democratic caucus feels that way about Bernie
right now, McConnell and them are fuming about Hawley. They're like, can't he just shut up? We threw him his checks and all of that. No. This is how they think. And it's important to see that there are at least some people who are doing something. At least in this instance, it's very heartening to see.
Yeah. So we're going to have Jeff Stein on the show. He'll have minute-by-minute update and tell us where things are. Looks like these negotiations are going to go into the weekend. I mean, bottom line is they're going to have something that's going to pass ultimately. Looks like McConnell has determined that they need this in order to try to hold on to the Senate with these Georgia races. Will it be everything that we want? Of course not. But major kudos to Bernie and Hawley, at least for fighting for the best that's possible out of this bad deal.
That's right.
All right, we're going to tell you what's on our radars. That's next.